G'day guys, the microbrand space is incredible. From indices that morph at midday, extreme value stone dials and hand-engraved Maori gold. Forget Switzerland, today we're starting in Oceania for a series I'm calling Around the World in 80 Microbrands. Because even as someone who spends far too much of their time looking at and learning about new watches, I still find myself discovering new brands almost every day. And don't let that title suggest we're stopping at 80, because realistically, I already have a shortlist of more than 200. The idea is to work our way around the world, region by region, and see what's out there. And I thought, where better to start than home? So today, let's take a look at 5 microbrands you may not know from Oceania. First up, we're heading to a suburb literally called Sunshine, just outside Melbourne, Australia with Second Hour. Second Hour is a husband and wife business run by Peter and Akira Sargitson. The brand launched in 2020 via Kickstarter with their first model, the Gin Clear, which raised a whopping $122,000 in funding. And the third generation of this watch is still around today as their flagship diver. A 40mm hardened steel case, Sellita SW200, and 300 meters of water resistance. These aren't going to be full catalogue tours, but just to highlight a couple more, Second Hour has built out a surprisingly varied range. There's the Mandela Mark III, their colourful everyday sports watch with gorgeous guilloche style dials. The Beacon 2, a field watch with a full black DLC treated case and bracelet contrasted against an entire dial made from BGW9 Superluminova. But the watch that caught my attention is something completely different. The Memoir. Because Cartier Tank alternatives are one of those watch topics that never seem to go away. And for good reason. Rectangular Art Deco watches look incredible. But rather than just making another Tank homage, Second Hour got a little funky with it. The Memoir is 28mm wide, 39.5 tall and 7.3 thin, so the proportions are properly dressy. You get a sapphire crystal, 50 meters of water resistance, color-matched Italian leather, and inside a Swiss Ronda 1069 quartz movement. The quartz here helps keep the watch extremely thin, and because the seconds are tucked away on a subdial, there isn't much visually to give it away either. It has a range of colours to suit just about any mood, and at 615 Australian dollars, this is exactly the sort of thing I want this series to uncover. Fun designs, strong specs, and excellent value. Sticking in Melbourne, just down the road, we have our second brand, which is HZ or Hertz Watches. Hertz was founded by Matt Zillman in 2023 and created around the idea of making genuinely interesting, affordable quartz watches that you can just grab and go. And I think they nailed the brief. They currently have 3 models. The Hertz 01, it's their original everyday watch, a 38.5mm grade 5 titanium piece with both day and date displays, sapphire crystal and Swiss Ronda quartz movement. Then there's the Hertz 02, a 37mm titanium, you might start to see a trend here, mecha quartz chronograph inspired by retro designs of the 60s and 70s. Complete with a loomed ceramic bezel and solid loom blocks, which I just cannot get enough of right now. But again, it's their latest release that really caught my attention, the Hertz 03 Blue Marble. You've got another grade 5 titanium case, this time at 36mm, a Seiko quartz movement, and most importantly, a selection of gorgeous natural stone dials. There's blue, labradorite, green, serpentine, and red agate, alongside this sparkling aventurine option. On each 03 sitting down at 6 o'clock is probably my favourite little detail, an earth travelling around the small seconds display inspired by the famous blue marble photograph captured by the crew of Apollo 17. I am absolutely smitten by these stone features and quirky little earth subdials. For $50 less, you can get an enamel version, but honestly, at 399 Australian dollars, I think the upgrade to stone here is a bit of a no-brainer. Now, given its size, Australia does kind of dominate the region, so we are staying down under for our next brand, Ocean to Orbit. The brand was started by David Dewitt and Siddhartha Kazami, two car designers with more than 35 years of combined experience in the automotive industry. In 2020, after not being able to find the exact watch they wanted, they figured they'd just design it themselves. Their first watch was the Lotsa, a fairly classic 38.5mm everyday sports watch inspired by the watches worn by explorers of the mid-20th century. But the specs are far from vintage. You get 316L stainless steel, a case measuring 47mm lug to lug and 11.5 thick, a box-domed sapphire crystal, 100 meters of water resistance, and a Swiss STP 1-21 automatic movement. The Lotsa isn't just cosplay either. One was actually worn up Lotsa in the Himalayas by mountaineer and brand ambassador Purnima Shrestha before release. But the watch I really love is their latest creation, the Himalayan project. This thing looks fantastic. We see those loom blocks again with these skeletonized Lumicast indices which are raised to echo Himalayan topography, and they're easily my favorite part of the design. Specs wise, it features a 40mm surfaced hardened titanium case, 47mm lug to lug, 11.5 thick, has sapphire crystal, 100 meters of water resistance, and is powered by an ever reliable Sellita SW200-1. The prototypes of this one accompanied Ambassador Mingma David Sherpa on his attempt to summit K2 a record 7th time, but was unfortunately hampered by the weather. There are a handful of gradient dials on offer, but right now, unfortunately, availability is pretty limited, with new batches expected next month. At 2,495 Australian dollars, this is obviously a pretty serious step up in price from our first two brands, but it does bring the specs to support it. I absolutely love this watch, and a lot of that has to do with those unique indices. It looks modern without being weird for the sake of being weird. The specs are excellent, and you can really see that automotive design influence coming through to create this true modern interpretation of an explorer's watch. Hello and welcome to our next brand that you might very well be familiar with because it was co-founded by one of the biggest watch YouTubers on the platform. Erebus Watches, founded by Stephen Parker and Jody Musgrove of the channel Just One More Watch. While I was looking into them for this video, I discovered that Erebus HQ is located less than 10 minutes from my house here in Sydney, so a small world after all. Erebus probably needs less of an introduction than any other brand in today's video. They've built out a pretty substantial range of affordable stainless steel sports watches with divers, GMTs, stone dials, meteorite, mechanical movements, and even high accuracy quartz. Jody and Steven's stated goal is basically to take everything they've learned as watch enthusiasts and cram as much quality and specification as possible into relatively affordable watches. But the one I want to focus on, I think, is their quirkiest release to date, the 24. Because hidden inside what initially looks like a fairly conventional field watch is a complication that basically disappeared from watchmaking for decades. During the first half of the day, the hour markers display the familiar numbers 1 through 12. But at midday, the entire set of numerals changes to 13 through 24. The idea actually has its roots in the Gruen air flight from the 1960s, which used a similar changing dial to give pilots a proper 24-hour time display. Erebus has taken that wonderfully strange complication and rebuilt it via a custom module on a Miyota 9000 series movement. The 24 comes in both 38 and 40mm with sapphire crystal, BGW9 superluminova, and a huge selection of dial colors. And I think it's really cool. At $829, I look at something like the Hamilton khaki field, and I can't help but think that for actually less money, you're walking away with a field watch that's far more technically interesting, and frankly way more fun. Certainly one to consider if you're in the market for just one more watch. Before we jump across to New Zealand, if you love digging into obscure independent watchmakers as much as I do, please consider subscribing. We've got hundreds of brands to hunt down across every continent, More than likely, yours is coming up soon, and once we finish this lap, we'll probably just turn around and do it all over again. A like also goes so far to helping out the channel, and with that said, we're off to New Zealand. Like Erebus co-founder Stephen Parker, I too am a Kiwi living in Australia, and I'm kind of nerdily obsessed with watches, so it warms my patriotic heart to include a company from across the ditch, back home in New Zealand. Magrette is based in Auckland and was founded by Dion McCasey. It features a range of robust mechanical watches carrying a very deliberate New Zealand identity. This is genuinely a small-scale operation. Every Magrette watch is produced in limited numbers and individually serialized, with much of the range built around variations of their distinctive signature cushion case design. You'll see it across watches like the Moana Pacific, their serious 500-meter professional divers, and the Waterman GMTs with different materials, colors, and complications, giving each model its own character. But then you get to the really special stuff, their hand-engraved pieces. Magrette has produced a series of incredible limited hand-engraved watches with the work carried out by engraver Andrew Biggs. And the one that stopped me in my tracks is the Leoncino Matariki. Underneath all that artwork is a very capable watch. It's 40mm stainless steel, powered by a Sellita SW200-1, has sapphire crystal and 200 meters of water resistance. But let's be honest, none of that is why you're looking at it. The case is individually hand engraved as a tribute to the Maori story of Matariki and Tawhiramatea. After his siblings separated their parents, Tawhiramatea, the god of weather, tore out his eyes in anger and cast them into the heavens, where they became the stars of Matariki. The watch features 9 24-karat gold inlays, each representing one of the stars in the Matariki cluster, while the lugs themselves represent Tawhiramatea. As someone from New Zealand, I think this watch is beautiful. It's patriotic art you can wear on your wrist, and features work from a genuine craftsman that you can tell has poured hours into each piece. Now, it is priced at $5,850 US, and I have no idea if there's a market outside of New Zealand for watches like this, and sadly, I'm not currently in the market to spend that much on anything, but I am glad it exists. And that brings us to the end of our first leg of our trip around the world. Thank you for coming along. If I missed an incredible microbrand from Oceania that you know, please pop it in the comments below so I can check it out when we eventually swing back through this part of the world. I've already got a massive shortlist, and I know I left out some great local names like Balzal, but that's because I'm considering picking one up for the channel anyway. Still, I have no doubt there are plenty of absolute sleepers I've missed entirely. Thank you for watching all the way through. If you haven't yet, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you're catching this in the first couple of weeks, on screen now there should be a recommended video for the AB Art watch giveaway, and it should still be running, so pop in there and get your comment in. That's all from me. I've been your Highness. This is White Tea Watches, and I'll hopefully catch you on the next one. Cheers.